Namaste and welcome to Satsang. I'm very happy to be here and to have this chance to uplift our spirit and share deep passion to what we call truth. As always, before I'm entering at all the words, the communication, it's very important to remember that when we meet in satsang, what I say means less than what is transmitted on the energetic level, what is behind the words. So pay attention, please, to both layers. I'm not saying don't listen to me at all. Although I must say that with my teachers, sometimes I attended satsangs that I have no idea what they were talking about. Something else was taking place. I once dared to raise my hand where it was at the very beginning of my life as a seeker, and it was in front of my first teacher in India, and I raised my hand and I asked, "You say that one day the search is over. How do you know that the day comes and that your search is over?" And then he looked at me and he spoke for 10 minutes, and I have no idea what he said. I was just swallowed in space and light and mystery. And I guess that this state was an answer, but it didn't make sense. So perhaps you will remember something from this session. Perhaps you will remember very little, but remember that what is important here is a sharing that goes beneath our mind and dialogues with our innermost. So before we are starting, I would like us to very shortly meditate, just to tune in to this act of sharing. For that, please let us close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Let your body relax more and more with every breath you take. And now let us together pay attention to the amazing fact that no matter how much we have learned and experienced, our existence has remained a complete mystery. We may have set goals, built dreams for this life, but really essentially the truth is that we exist in a completely mysterious and unknowable reality. In so many ways, we are at the beginning point. Knowing not so much more than we knew as babies. We may have created identities and still we don't know who we are. We may have created purposes and still we don't know why we're here. This reality might be scary or exciting. However we experience it, it is surely a fact. So just allow yourself to place yourself in the middle of the here and now. Far away from the busyness of daily life. Far away from the quickness of time. To give a moment to cherish and wonder about this feeling of a complete mystery. That surrounds us all. Everything we do in life may cover up this unbelievable mystery. And still it is here. Always. We don't even know why we're breathing. And still we are. So breathe into your lungs. This mystery. Feel how it takes you to the beginning point. A wandering baby with fresh eyes to look at this whole of existence. So, slowly and gently you can come out of the meditation. Right? We make so much fuss with our thoughts and emotions, and we don't even know what is that and why it's here. And of course, that is the beginning of every search. This question. When we first meet with this mystery and try to look into it, and this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what it means to search. Pretty basic, right? The basic things are always the best ones. So, for this very basic question, I've brought with me today a very strange friend to Satsang. Very strange. It is not the friends that you usually bring to Satsangs. His name is Friedrich Nietzsche. I think that's the only way anyway to drag him into Satsang, right? When you're a dead philosopher, everyone can do whatever they want to do with you. Now Nietzsche when he was 21, very young. It's actually when my own search started. Wrote a letter to his sister. He was a student, and his sister was heavily Christian, and he was already with the spirit of a rebellious philosopher, even though he was very young. And they were mainly arguing and fighting over the issue of religion, of belief. She tried to convert him, and he mainly annoyed his entire family constantly for not being the good family member. surely the black sheep, right? So then, in response to one of his sister's letters, he wrote to her one paragraph that for me is one of the most beautiful texts I've ever read. It's one of my sacred texts. And I'm going to read to you this paragraph. And from that I'm going to introduce us to our talk today. So this is what he says. Pay attention. It may be, it's philosophy, so it is sometimes intense, but it's good stuff. So he says, concerning your basic principle that truth is always to be found on the side of the more difficult, I agree in part. However, it is difficult to believe that 2 double 2 does not equal 4. Is it therefore true? On the other hand, is it really so difficult simply to accept as true everything we have been taught and which has gradually taken firm root in us and is thought true by the circle of our relations and by many good people, and which moreover really does comfort and elevate men? Meaning, is it so difficult to believe something that you are anyway conditioned to, and everyone around you supports it, and that also gives you comfort? Is that a big deal? Is that more difficult then to venture on new path in conflict with custom, in the insecurity that attends independence, experiencing many waverings of courage and even of conscience, often disconsolate, but always with the true, the beautiful, and the good as our goal? I will explain, don't worry. Is it the most important thing to arrive at that particular view of God, world, and reconciliation that makes us feel most comfortable? Is not the true inquirer totally indifferent to what the result of his inquiries may be? For when we inquire, are we seeking for rest, peace, happiness? No, only for truth, even though it be in the highest degree ugly and repellent. Still one final question. He was really relentless. If we had believed from our youth onwards that all salvation issued from someone other than Jesus, from Muhammad, for instance, is it not certain that we should have experienced the same blessings? It is the faith that makes blessed, and not the objective reality that stands behind the faith. Every true faith is infallible. It accomplishes what the person holding the faith hopes to find in it. But it does not offer the slightest support for a proof of objective truth. Now pay attention. The ultimate sentence. Here the ways of men divide. If you wish to strive for peace of soul and happiness, then believe. If you wish to be a disciple of truth, then inquire. If you wish to strive for a peace of soul and happiness, then believe. If you wish to be a disciple of truth, then inquire. Now you understand why I still brought Nietzsche to Satsang. Because this is a text of a true seeker. Someone who enters a journey towards the real mystery of life without relying on belief and without looking for something specific that will give them peace of mind, relaxation. And why am I reading it to you? This is because in our days we often get the two mixed. The wanting to relax and wanting to know the truth. And it's obvious why we want to relax, right? Because life is really stressful. It's really stressful. The way we live is very demanding. We have so many things to take care of, and so much stimulation that we are overwhelmed. And then we need sometimes, some peaceful music, some maybe the smell of incense, or to chant a little, some relaxing mantra, Buddhist mantra. To breathe, to learn to breathe, and so on, to maybe to appreciate the small things of life. All that is wonderful because we need it. We need to relax. The only thing that is not wonderful is when we begin to confuse this need for relaxation and the search. We always need to remember the search is not for peace of mind. The search is for truth. This is what, if our search is sincere, this is what started our journey. It's a question. Maybe if we were lucky, a burning question, something that burns in our heart and that awakens our mind. But if I'm just searching to reach peace, then I'm starting to turn against my own wish, my own heart's yearning to discover something that is really beyond my thoughts, my emotions, my fears, and even my beautiful moments and attachments. Now, this is not so easy to do because also I started my journey not because I wanted to know the truth. It wasn't exactly the beginning. The beginning was that I just sat next to my friends, a very dear friends, and I was so socially anxious that I felt that my legs were paralyzed. I couldn't communicate. I was so self-conscious that the suffering made me search. So it's fine to, of course, to start because we suffer. You know, suffering is almost like a cosmic technique. Very often people ask, why is there suffering in the world? What do you mean, why is there? Because if everything was good, my God, then we would all fall asleep. That's it. It's you wake up, everything is perfect. You go to sleep, everything is perfect. There is no violence, no contradiction. You get everything that you want. So, of course, if this is your, if the universe was conflict-free, why search? There is no anxiety, that there is no confusion that make us begin to be troubled. Suffering steers us. Suffering can bring us to the question. But suffering cannot be our main motivation. Because if suffering is our main motivation, for that we have either religion, like a sort of form of comfort and consolation, giving us all the relaxing answers. Jesus loves you, and if you do this, your place in heaven is guaranteed, and so on. Or we have medicine, psychology, therapy, and so on and so on. Searching is something very different. It is not about stopping suffering, not so superficially, and not just as a technique to stop suffering. Suffering does stop to a certain degree as a result. Silence, peace of mind may be the outcome, the side effect. Okay, it's like a side effect of truth, because it does give you clarity, it does give you confidence, it does remove your existential doubt. But this is what Nietzsche says. If you want to just stop suffering, if you just want to feel good, to feel better, believe. Then you just go and you collect all kinds of beliefs that relax you, that soothe your anxiety. But when your research matures, and you become a true seeker, something very different begins to burn in your eyes, and you can notice the true seeker through their eyes, the way they look. They really want to know. They want to discover. They really have a meeting with the mystery of life, and for that they are willing to question many things and doubt many things, and undermine their own security, stability, and comfort. Do you understand? searching requires courage. It's not easy life. And it's not about just quieting the mind, making everything so silent that we stop thinking, we stop inquiring, we stop exploring. We actually start we become more wakeful than others. We don't put ourselves to sleep with mantras and with gestures and relaxing thoughts. People, when you spend time with people, it is sometimes unbelievable how hypnotic they are, in what state of self-hypnosis they are. It's sometimes bewildering that we can pass our life like in a state of sleep. We do not open our eyes to question, to doubt the certainties of our life. We do not stop to think of the mystery of life. We just go on running so quickly on the path of time that to a certain degree, when we die, it's not even so different, because we were so automatic, we were so much asleep. We're just accepting any type of conditioning. We became what society made of us. We just play our role. We follow a path that obviously leads to just aging and death. Search is the moment when you start thinking. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's not. It's just there is a big confusion around it. Sometimes people think that search is when you just look for peace. That if you are peaceful, this is truth. If you are loving, relaxed, hugging trees, and I'm not saying it cynically, I love them with all my heart. But I'm just saying this is not truth. So if you're just relaxing yourself, what we call becoming spiritual, becoming really spiritual, which is like making ourselves sweet and soft and nice and smiley and thinking good thoughts and so on and so on. This has nothing to do with search. Search is a fire in my heart, and search is a fire in my mind. Search is a fire in my eyes. Search is questioning and entering with courage life's mystery. Willing to let our entire world, the entire safe world that we have built around us, collapse. I love it when I speak of it and your eyes responding with similar fire. There is a really nice story about Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He is the bringer of transcendental meditation to the West. He brought so when he came to the West, the Westerners received the transcendental meditation and started a research around it with his support, of course, and then it was shown that transcendental meditation supports better sleep. And then it was on the news, like the title, Transcendental Meditation Supports Better Sleep, and so on. And Maharishi told his students, I am brought transcendental meditation to awaken people. And they only say how it is good to make them sleep better. That's why we really need to look into our motivation, what drives us. Do we want just to feel better? Is this what we want? For example, why are we here in Satsang? You know, I had when I was very young, when I was a young teacher, and I started teaching, one person came to me something like 2 years. For 2 years, it was every Saturday, every week, he came steadily, sitting, closing his eyes with full intention, and it was really admirable. And then one day he told me, "You are like my heroine." It's I just come, I get my shot every week, relax, and then I can continue my life. This is where I began, I started very naively and innocently the role as a spiritual teacher. I thought, we are all going to burn with excitement and inquire together and want to know the truth. And then I started in a painful way to realize that what many wanted from me was just my silence and my peace, which I didn't even think were important, you see. Of course, if you inquire, this could lead you to transcendence, going beyond thoughts, beyond confusions and doubts. Yes, of course, it can. But that is only a result. You see, it's like there are two different types of silence. One is this silence that we just want to turn off everything in us, both the worry and the burning. And there is the silence that is the result of understanding. The result of insight. It's coming with the burning and asking. We reach such states of consciousness that they bring us to deep silence. This is true silence. Silence is that comes as a result of depth, of wakefulness. Do you understand the difference? I can just want to feel good, want to feel better because I'm in tension. Then I'm just coming to a teacher and I'm saying, can you give me this ibuprofen of yours? How do you call it? Enlightenment? Never mind, just give it to me. Of course, it's with no side effects. It's much healthier. And if somebody comes to me because they are really, really suffering and they get a relief, I'm the last one to resist that. I'm only asking, what about you? Do you have a question on your mind? Do you have a wish for truth? What Nietzsche calls here objective truth, which means truth that is not because we fabricate something to feel better. It's not because we just look for a comforting thought. It's because we want to touch this diamond of reality. Because we're true seekers. And Nietzsche is right. Truth can be not so pleasant, actually. Basically, this is why I'm teaching this evening, since if we're only waiting for nice truth, if we're already expecting something in our mind, this, of course, cannot be the truth. Truth is sometimes earth-shaking. It's uncomfortable. It wakes us up. It's not comfortable to wake up. There is the teacher John de Ruyter. He's a Canadian, and he says a wonderful sentence. Waking up is not necessarily easy. You get to see why all this time you chose to sleep. And that's it. Waking up is not necessarily easy, and if I only want to feel easy, to feel a relief, then I'm limiting completely my search. You don't know what can happen in your life. Maybe you will change your whole life. Maybe you will wake up in the morning and your questioning will awaken you so much that you will look at all the structures that you have built and nothing will be relevant. Maybe you will leave a relationship that was comfortable but false. Maybe you will begin to be courageous in a way that many people will hate you. And maybe and that's for sure, I'm saying maybe to be polite, maybe you will go through unbelievable dark tunnels where you don't know who you are, where things will be so shaky and unclear, and that your whole mental and emotional world will collapse like a house of cards. Truth is a collision, like you are taking a risk when you want to know the truth. Because you are undermining your very experience of self. And yourself is everything you've got. You see? Your stories, what you were in childhood, what you will be in 10 years from now, your traumas. Sometimes even having traumas and sad memories are giving us security of knowing where we are and being able to retell our story over and over again. And in truth, you're starting to question everything. And look, see, this is Nietzsche demonstrates here, with Christianity. It's like he comes and says, everyone says, and he says it, by the way, at the end of the 19th century, I hope you understand. It's not such a big deal to now question Christianity. But he was in the 19th century, and he says, how would I know? They tell me Jesus. Then my mind responds to Jesus, because I was raised like that. They took me to church, they showed me, here, this is your guy. It's not Muhammad, this is your guy. You look, you see? This is your salvation. And then you begin to feel emotions towards Jesus, you see? Of course. And you feel this is authentic. This specific connection to Jesus. But then he says, if they raised you in a Muslim family, when they showed you Muhammad and say then this is the Quran and so on, and this is the reality. This is your salvation. You will immediately have the same emotions. So he says, so what is Jesus? And even doing that this is dangerous. Do you understand? Truth is dangerous. You stand, you set apart from the sleepy crowd, and you start saying, hey, you know what? I don't know. All these things that you're so sure about, all your customs and habits and what is right to do as human beings, what you should do, I can't do it. Not because I'm a stupid, rebellious person, but because I have woken up. I have opened my eyes. And when you open your eyes, and that's what the Canadian John de Ruyter says, when you open your eyes, you can't shut them down again. You can't. This is horrible. Do you understand? It's like you can't. If we have started questioning, it will hunt you. It will always be there, because you will know. You may cover it up. You may do anything to stop doubting, questioning, but it will always be there. And we're afraid of it. We're afraid of confusion. We're afraid of a state of too much doubt, and that can shake our earth pull the rug beneath our feet. And if you're not afraid of it, then I salute you. Then you are true seekers. And you don't even know what the truth is, right? We're saying truth, 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 truth. What is truth? If you're starting the journey for real, you don't know. And anyway, whatever you are going to imagine about truth is going to be false. That I can promise you. I was trying to project truth in so many creative ways. I think I was really brilliant at my projections, and at the end I just stumbled across a big wall that told me, hey, these are just your thoughts. And I said, okay, oh my God, what am I going to do? So that you don't know, you just follow an inner guidance that started ever since you've woken up, you see. And this inner guidance tells you, whispers in your ears, you need to know the truth. You can't live without it. Anything else makes no sense. Anything else is just deep slumber, deep sleep. So it is not comfortable. It's the first moment in your life that you consciously make yourself uncomfortable. And always remember, if we start defining what truth is the state of wakefulness. This wakefulness is the beginning, the middle and the end of the journey, and there is no end to the journey. Truth is this very state that your being, your mind, your brain, your heart are all vibrant with consciousness, awareness of this unbelievable mystery of life. Isn't that why they call it awakening? Right? Awakening is the right word. It's when you stop falling asleep. You start nagging yourself. You start being your own nagger. Like pinching yourself all the time. Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. You fall asleep in your thoughts, and you tell yourself, wake up. You fall asleep in your emotions. You fall asleep in your habits. The way you accept life, the rules, conditioning. All this is utterly uncomfortable. Is what Nietzsche says here, the insecurity that attends independence. To be independent is insecure. As much as possible, try not to rely on someone else's answers. Always we need to keep ourselves awake. And then if somebody comes with their own confidence, with their own security, and tells us, this is truth, that's nice. It's only not yours. And be careful not to fall asleep again with what you think is awakening. Even I question my own teachings. Even I burn all my books in my mind. Even I rebel against my own conditioning. Truth is simple. It's not to fall asleep. Now, of course, we need to ask, and I'm anticipating a question. The question is, but I'm anyway doubting everything all the time, and that it doesn't feel too healthy. I'm all the time questioning everything, and I'm only more and more confused. What is the difference between this doubt and my doubt that seems very unhealthy? And there is a huge difference. Because of course everyone doubts themselves all the time. It's like all the time questioning their decisions, their thoughts, and their life. But this is doubt that is the result of fear. The fear of making mistakes. The fear of acting in life, and so on. This is really the unhealthy doubt. And that takes us nowhere. The doubt I'm talking about actually comes out of fearlessness. You doubt because you understand that the biggest questions of life haven't been answered yet. And nobody is going to answer them except for you. You are the first one. I didn't ask before you. When a seeker begins the journey, they are alone. They start the journey. They've asked the question. We have millions of books, great books, and we still are stuck with the same questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And we still have this mystery creeping. Flowing beneath our feet. Right, so I started the talk with telling you about the question I asked my teacher. How would I know when the search is over? And I would answer myself, how would you know that the search has started for real? I would ask myself, why do you search? If it's the burning in your heart, then the answer will be a natural outcome of your question, of your burning. The burning will take you there. And you know, when you're burning, you forget a little about your suffering, actually. Because you're already starting to ask to be interested in something that is much bigger than just feeling better. Feeling better is nice. There is this rock star, Janis Joplin, and she said, feeling good is good enough for me. which is one way to look at life. Feeling good is good enough for me. Well, for the seeker of truth, it's definitely not good enough. Feeling good, not even feeling wonderful. Feeling wonderful does not mean truth. It can be the result of suppression. It can be the result of self-deception. You can imagine that Jesus hugs you right now and feel good. You see, you can fool yourself in millions of ways. We can do whatever we want. Our mind is so creative. This is again a part of doubting, real doubting. It's like we pray and we feel better. I know it's a provocative talk, but when we hear in this, one thing for sure happens. Even if we are right now confused, shocked, overwhelmed, one thing is certain. We are right now awake. That's for sure. I can feel you. Because we are starting to, our mind is stimulated, our heart is stimulated. We begin to look at everything, to open our eyes, to be positively irritated. How is that, positively irritated? Always remember, it's not so bad to be frustrated, troubled, even agitated. It's not always bad. There are silly types of frustration and irritation and agitation, because the bus hasn't come on time or things like that, or that we didn't get exactly what we wanted from life. That's silly. But while searching to be frustrated, irritated, agitated, even conflicted sometimes, it's healthy, it's energy. Don't try to put everything to sleep. Don't sing to yourself a lullaby. As much as possible, wake up. Always remember that sometimes bad feelings, they are more awakening than good feelings. So, let's hear some questions. Now that we've all woken up, and not in the sense that we all feel good. Let's see. Yes, please.
Doesn't guide the search and the questioning for truth necessarily, in the end, to a kind of eternally emptiness and silence? That you reach a point where no questions are left, and where you enter eternity without just peace in mind, absolutely emptiness in your head, nothing left. Isn't it necessarily so that it ends there?
That's a good question. So the question is, isn't it that eventually we reach, right, a sort of absolute emptiness of the mind, where all questions are answered, and that we unite with the answer, and so on and so on. Depends. Depends, yes. Yeah, I'm horrible today. Depends because it all depends how we picture it to ourselves. If we picture it as something that is not so different than death, or is it the beginning of life? It's very important to understand what I'm saying, because too often the descriptions of awakening, they sound like something that is not so different from, dying. Because when you die, you may not feel anything, may be completely detached, may feel completely relaxed. You have no conflict, you are in complete emptiness. Yeah, perfect. And sometimes, by the way, I don't want to overstress that, but sometimes even our wish to die gets mixed with the wish for enlightenment. It's just like we feel a wish for release. And we need to pay attention. Do we want to die, or do we want to start being alive? So what I'm saying is often our mind pictures it as a sort of eternal peace. But then eternal peace may very easily get confused with eternal sleep. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh, one day I will reach enlightenment, like this guy that seems so happy and so on and so on. And I will never have any trouble, never have any problem. All my conflicts will be resolved. I will just be happy all the time, and so on and so on. Because of course it is true that we can reach reality beyond thinking, beyond desire, and this reality is immovable and unchangeable, of course. Otherwise, what am I doing here? But we need to make sure that we are interested in reality and not in this side effect that is promised, you see? Eternal peace. Like that you don't need to think about anything anymore, and so on and so on.
No, not that I think about not thinking about something, but it happened to me twice for short moments that my brain was totally empty. It felt like a huge room full of emptiness, and I could watch that I didn't thought. Was it right? Also
didn't think, yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the second that happened to me that suddenly time stopped.
Yes.
And nothing happened around. Even the clock didn't work.
Yes.
It was in the next room. I heard it all the time, and suddenly everything was silent.
Yes.
And nothing moved around. And but I had it wasn't a meditation or something like that. And I looked around and said, "What's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
This is eternity, And it felt so free. It was so natural. It was so easy, and oh, how great not to think about anything, Freedom. It was a feeling of freedom, and that's why I ask: isn't it necessarily so that you end up in not thinking?
But you don't, again, it's not like an ending. First of all, it's very important to understand that it's not like there is just nothing. It's the beginning of life. It is true that when time stops, the personal self dissolves too, because the personal self is made up of time. It is just a fabrication of time. It's the story, and this story is a bubble. It means it doesn't have a reality. Now, if you enter that really deeply, it is both to your true being, it is wonderful. To your false being, it can be horrible sometimes, because it means that nothing is relevant anymore. All of your securities and belief system and so on, this is all starting to collapse. But just always remember, this is the time when your eyes open up. When you stop sleeping. And also, the questions aren't over. The big questions aren't over. And you can say, okay, now I don't care anymore about the questions. You can say that. Some say that.
It might get boring.
Sorry?
It might get boring after a while.
Exactly. It might get boring because if you just make it like a state that you say, okay, this is where I am, I have finished. Now I am sitting here and you are sitting there. I met once a teacher that was just sitting and eating a banana in front of us to show us how he's having fun and we are miserable, like really. And I don't even understand what it means that you have reached somewhere, because that's illusion, you see. How can you reach somewhere? How can you have the feeling of ending or a peak or a culmination of a journey? The very concept, because this is no beginning and no end. So this means you could never stop. Do you understand? What I'm saying is, it all depends on what. That's why I said it depends on what you. If you really understand it, it means you never stop. You never.
But you mean never in this lifetime, or also in other lives going on? Because once you said, I'm finished now. I've done everything, I'm finished now. So I understood in this way that you might have said, I'm finished with this life, so I don't need to come back. This was my interpretation. Maybe it was wrong. But it never stops. Okay, the universe it doesn't stop. So it's not just changing
Exactly.
forms. But,
Exactly. How can you stop? How can you stop? It's it's always now. Thinking that you stop, that this is your last incarnation, announcing or about your next incarnation or whatever, this is already a story, you see? The very feeling that I've stopped, I've finished, I am now, I don't know, I've reached perfection, this means that I'd rather die, you see? Because if everything is perfect and there's nothing more to do, then what am I doing? Wasting God's time? For me, it's always the beginning, you see, always. That's why when we speak of the burning question and so on, I'm with you. It's not like I'm telling you, you ask, I know. not at all. And when you reach these blessed moments where you wake up and you are out of time, you are reaching a point where you could never stop anymore. You see? Because you can only stop when there is time. Do you understand what I'm saying? If there is time, of course I can stop. I was, I don't know, ignorant, and now I'm enlightened. That's a story. Whose story? Who can tell this story? Please. Yes. Yes, please.
I understood from your talk, it's like questioning everything.
Yes.
So this constant questioning could be painful, as I understood from your speech. But this is not against following the flow or following the joy. That could be more rewarding.
Following what?
Following the flow in life.
Yes.
Or following the joy. That could be easier.
Yeah.
Somehow.
You said that now. Yeah, following the flow, of course, is easier. You know, we do understand, right, that a seeker is like the salmon fish that swims against the stream. It's not really going with the flow. Going with the flow, everything can go with the flow. You see? That means that I have fallen asleep. Because I stop resisting, I just flowing, I'm not ever questioning, everything that is happening exactly as it is, and I'm just flowing all the time. That's only maybe half truth. It's true that our resistances to life, the way we project and expect that life should happen in a certain way, of course this is a part of our illusion. Do you understand? Of course, resisting all the time, saying the bus should have come now, people should behave like that, of course this is illusion. In that sense, we need to flow, to live with reality, to open our eyes, to stop projecting, stop expecting, stop trying to change and to design the world in a better way. But if this becomes our only philosophy of life, and we begin to think that this is truth, that this is what awakening means, that is something we need to really question. Because this is not truth. This is just one of many insights, one of the many understandings that we see, okay, our thinking is making us crazy, which means we are starting to question our thinking, you see? And this is not easy. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is not easy. It's not easy to be, because you challenge your own thoughts. Why? To come to you, to approach your mind and say you are false, that's very challenging to live like that. Is it comfortable? So even to reach a deep state of flow, you need to go through a sort of awakening. Just what I'm saying, don't turn it into a full philosophy of life, like you've got the answer. It's like, what is reality? What is truth? What is spirituality? Just go with the flow. Really, also crocodiles go with the flow. So You want to be crocodiles? Okay. Also clouds, it's okay, but we have, we have consciousness. And we want to reach the skies with our consciousness. We ask questions. Are they a mistake? Are we meant to just turn them off? Like, stop, enough with questions. Just go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Everything is okay. This is putting yourself to sleep. It's like, just make your life easy. Make your life easy. Make your life easy. Don't think. Stop. I'm just saying this is not truth. It's only a technique. It's a method. And it definitely makes you feel better. But always remember, even to go with the flow, you need to resist your own natural habits. So that's already a bit more complicated than we think, right? We need to drop the resistance to the flow that is silly, but to understand that there is a deeper wish in us to go against the flow, and it is the wish to awaken, which is not natural. Please understand, it's not natural to wake up. The most natural is just to numb yourself, to have to live a life of desires, fears, expectations, struggles, happiness, joy, pleasure, fear, pain, and so on, and that's it. This is really like not challenging anything. You just do everything everyone else does. And you get, of course, the recognition from society that you're just human. What can you do? A last question. 2. So 2 last questions. Yes, please.
How do you know that you're not on the wrong track with research? Because since I'm a child...
I'm sorry?
Since I'm a child, I had a favorite poem when I was a child. And when I was a child, I didn't understand why it was my favorite poem. So I think now I get it a bit more. And it's like, sometimes I'm afraid that I'm on the wrong track and I'm asking to change trains. But everybody tells me, no, you don't need to change. And I don't feel satisfied, so that's the core message of the poem. And when I was a child, I didn't really understand why I felt attracted.
Yes.
And as sort of a longing within, since I can think. But I'm constantly doubting. How can I know? Because sometimes it takes me in deep states of exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
On the edge. It's like, and how can you know if you're on the right track? or if you somehow just stuck
Mm-hmm.
on a different level. So, because sometimes you simply stuck on a certain level, and sometimes
Yes.
it's a bigger stuckness. Yeah.
Yes, so that's a good question. How do you know? When we are on the right path of life, we experience increasing levels of wisdom, intelligence, creativity, depth, and insight with every day passing. It's a life of ever increasing life. It's like there is more and more life. It's not narrowing down, that we feel like we are starting to become this pattern that is called the personal self. It's like this is, eventually it becomes so narrow that it becomes completely automatic, even if we think that we are making choices. These are not choices. It's like, it's just automatic reactions. So then we experience a decrease of depth, intelligence, wakefulness, wisdom, insight, and even joy and creativity. So we need to look at our life. And this is what I'm saying. We may be dissatisfied, and we may be dissatisfied for good reasons. And the thing is that we shouldn't resist the dissatisfaction. Just making it all quiet and undisturbed. This is almost religious. You see, like this is my fate. We know that this is not our fate. You know, it's now more than ever, we have, life is pretty open, and if we start feeling that our life is narrow, then we need to question, why are we putting ourselves in a jail? Why are we our own prisoners? The good thing, the best way is to stop resisting the dissatisfaction and to let it speak. Because if I try to suppress the dissatisfaction, I just become divided. And then it means nothing. You see, it's like I can be dissatisfied for 50 years and just get stuck in the same life and be dissatisfied. So what's the point? You see? It's like every day, oh, I'm dissatisfied. Oh, but I'm not, I shouldn't be dissatisfied. I need to be content. But I'm dissatisfied, but I should be content. And so on and so on. And then I find myself after like at the age of 70, oh my God. I've never lived this life because I was just spending it being dissatisfied, but not enough dissatisfied to do anything. So the whole thing is to be dissatisfied without resisting it and letting it once and for all speak. This song of your childhood, it has a message to you. And this is, again, I know that it's risky, and everyone around you is going to tell you, except for, like friends that may serve more your evolution. Everyone else tells you, just remain as you are. Be content, relax, enough. Stop thinking. Let's just enjoy. But our fire inside tells us, no, I can't enjoy. I can't just enjoy. There is something in me. I need to pay attention. So once and for all, stop ignoring it. Say, okay, I'm dissatisfied. Whenever I was dissatisfied in my life, I let it. I wasn't divided about it, and it always led me to a next stage of expansion, and sometimes deep change of life. Deep. I'm talking about deep restructuring that may seem scary, but I didn't have a choice, because that was, to me, this dissatisfaction was a part of the voice of truth in me, not just a sort of mind trip that I always wanted to contradict with some painkiller. I never wanted to take a painkiller. If I had a mental migraine, I just listened to it. You see?
So it's just about allowance or expansion of this feeling.
Yes, just letting it speak, and see what happens. Yes. Yes.
Because I can observe it sometimes, just sitting in this little version and feeling just like a prisoner. And sometimes I get in touch with something, reading something or whatever, and somehow expansion takes place.
Yes.
But just for a glimpse of, sometimes for a few hours.
Yes.
It's not like that it takes fully place.
No, it cannot take fully place unless we fulfill the entire voice of truth inside us.
So
I just want to give, otherwise everyone will look at me like, it's after 9. We're in the timeless, but we need to catch a train. Yes, please. Last question.
When truth sees truth and looks at itself, what is left?
When truth is truth and looks at itself, what is left? What do you mean by what is left?
There's nowhere to go, there's nothing to do. What's left for you?
What is left what?
For you can talk out of your own perspective. Or out of a general perspective. I want to be inspired.
Sorry?
I want to be inspired.
When truth just looks at truth, meaning when there is no interference of personal self. Then finally, truth begins to explore itself. It's not even only conscious of itself. It's really important to understand that truth does not just want to be conscious. And this is because truth wants to be creative. Truth wants to manifest. Truth wants to know and to expand its wisdom. Truth wants to relate. Truth is not just wanting to reach a point where it is narcissistically looking at itself at the mirror and thinking, oh my God, I'm so true. My God, look at me. Wow, wow, wow. This happens for some time. I had, at the age of 23, I was for 1 year just looking at the mirror of truth. It's not true to say that. That was looking at itself. There was just this plain self-reflection. When I say self, it means not of the self. And that lasted for 1 year of a complete shock. And because the beauty was so overwhelming that there seemed to be a complete satisfaction just by consciousness. But then I realized that when you don't limit it, when you don't try to think, okay, I've reached it, I've ended, I've completed my journey, there is nothing else to do, and so on. If you don't, because this is very sophisticated, you then realize that you can still put inside a conclusion that might hinder everything. that might hinder the next expansion. And even one thought, like I have completed, now I am a Buddha, is not the end of your journey, it's the end of your of beauty. There is so much, and there are different levels of truth looking at itself. And even this looking at itself is expanding, because what we call enlightenment is not just one perfect condition. There is a purification even there that leads all the way to a reality where there is no more even that, you see? No more truth looking at itself. And you get in touch with that, and this is what, when you're starting to get in touch with that, you are it is the beginning of what you may call God. And we need to be humble. We are talking here about divinity, not about some mind game. This is endless, infinite. You could never say, I know God. You could not even touch it, grasp it. You couldn't even get near it. You can only reach with your mind and heart its periphery. Far, 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 far periphery. If you enter the core, you will die. Good, right? That is a good ending sentence. I will say no more. Thank you. Good night and good morning.